Please stand for the national anthem, which will be led by Ariana Patsaros, a member of the graduating class of 2023, and then remain standing for the invocation by the Reverend Cress Darwin of the Second Presbyterian Church right here in Charleston.
Oh, sing and you sing by the dawn's early light. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and white stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proofs through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
Will you pray with me? Compassionate God, who is the God of stillness in the midst of crisis, you have summoned exceptional people to a high calling to be your voice, your hands, to convey your heart in the business of society and in moments of anxiety, distress, chaos, and catastrophe, and in moments of joy, release, relief, and laughter, and discovery. We thank you for this day as these students have run the course that was set before them and are being sent into the world in need of their developed skills, their sharpened minds, and their spirits of integrity. We thank you that they have been taught well and have been found proficient to care for your people, and they have been encouraged and equipped to plumb the disciplines of law and the mysteries of the human heart, to ease the pain of a world in such need of order and compassion, to enhance the lives of all those whom you created and called very good. Holy God, you are our hope and our comfort. Our direction and our purpose resides in you. We ask you bless this time together. Amen.
And welcome, and before I get going, a happy early Mother's Day to all the moms in the room. And especially my own mom, who I think is tuning in on live stream, and to Diddy, our commencement speaker's mother. Today we celebrate our graduates. 3 years ago, you began a journey that led you to this point. One day in August or January, you sat in a classroom, either in 385 Meeting Street or in 81 Mary Street. You probably didn't know anyone in your new class. You had orientation. You heard from Dean Bell about interesting facts about your class in her "This is your class" remarks. You read and briefed your first case, the first of many, many to come. You may have realized that the dean addressing you at orientation was also brand new to the law school and was starting a new journey with you. Very quickly, you made friends, formed study groups, joined student organizations. You met your outstanding faculty, and you quickly realized why they are routinely recognized in the top 10 in Princeton Review for excellence in teaching. You met our career service office professionals and saw how they would help you get internships and jobs. Yes, you sat through assessments and final exams. You completed numerous writing assignments and read countless cases. One of you even started an amusing but anonymous Instagram page that poked lighthearted fun about life in law school. Where is Oz? We celebrated together your accomplishments with our moot court team, our mock trial team, and our brand new transactional law team under Professor Stedman's leadership. We learned together through the Law Review's Law and Society Symposia, with the Riley Institute at Furman University, and through the many professionalism series talks that we put on. Sadly, there is a member of the graduating class who is not here to celebrate with you, Catherine Adele Westbrook, or Kat, as she was affectionately known around campus. We have set aside a seat for Kat among today's graduates. Taken too early in life, Kat was a valued and beloved member of our community, and we pause now to honor and celebrate her life. She was a graduate of Emerson College, where she was a member of the volleyball team. At Charleston, she led several organizations, including the Alliance for Equality. I personally got to know Kat as she was a member of my Dean's Diversity Council. She had an infectious laugh and a rock star spirit. She received the prestigious Ackerman Fellowship at Charleston Pro Bono Legal Services. Sadly, Kat passed away during her 2L year. We miss her a great deal. At this time, I would like to call upon Kat's parents, Edward and Liesl Westbrook, to come forward to receive Kat's diploma. Kat was especially dedicated to helping the underserved through her work with Charleston Pro Bono, the Red Cross, and East Cooper Community Outreach. So it was no surprise that she chose to attend Charleston School of Law for her legal education. Our law school was founded on a very special mission of pro bono populi, Latin for the good of the people. That mission is reflected in our pro bono program, where students volunteer their legal talents with organizations like the Center for Heirs Property, the Public Defender's Office, Charleston Pro Bono, the Probate Court, and 180 Place. I am pleased to report that the class of 2023 donated more than 13,500 hours of their time to pro bono and public service causes. In the short life of our law school, over 550,000 hours have been contributed in free legal services to the Charleston community. We are all proud of you for all that you have accomplished and what you will go on to achieve as lawyers. And your voices and talents are needed now more than ever in the profession. And if you'll indulge me, I wanted to say a word or two about the rule of law and the important role that you will play in upholding it. Law governs so much of society, from business and commerce to criminal justice to the orderly operation of our government. To function the rule of law, yes, it needs lawyers, but it also needs another important group, judges. And I have an ask of all of you as you set out on your legal career. Defend judges. I'm not talking about defending them in the physical sense. Instead, I ask you, as soon-to-be lawyers, to defend the independence and the reputation of the judiciary. Judges are under attack every day, from politicians of all sides, to the editorial pages of newspapers, to the insufferable comment sections of social media. When a judge makes a decision someone disagrees with, inevitably a first instinct is to attack that judge, often mentioning the political party of the president or governor who appointed them, thereby attacking their legitimacy. I've seen this at the criminal justice system, where judges often get attacked for their bail decisions. A sensational headline will read that a quote-unquote soft-on-crime judge let someone, who by the way is presumed innocent, go out on a low bail rather than keep them in jail pending trial. But you all know from criminal procedure that the purpose of bail is not to punish, but instead to ensure a defendant appears for court. The media and politicians often get this wrong. And here's the problem. Judges can't defend themselves against these attacks publicly. They issue rulings from the bench and opinions from chambers, but they can't hold press conferences. They don't speak with reporters, and they don't respond to editorials. Under their canons of ethics, they must remain neutral and detached, which means remaining silent even in the face of public criticism. That's where we come in. As lawyers, it's our duty to stand up for the independence of the judiciary. We do not have the same constraints as judges do. So remind critics that judges interpret the law, they don't make it. They don't make decisions based on what side they like or what their political affiliation is. They follow and apply the legal principles set forth in our Constitution and our laws. Be a fierce advocate for judges so that they can continue to be the backbone of the rule of law. I know that among you are future legislators, law firm partners, heads of nonprofits, CEOs of corporations, and yes, judges. I am excited for your future, and I know you will do us all proud. And now, so that we can offer our congratulations to you, I ask that the graduates of the class of 2023 stand and be recognized. But you didn't get here alone. You were supported along the way by your families, your friends, your spouses, your children, your neighbors, nephews and nieces, siblings, significant others, many of whom are here with us in the audience. So that you can show your appreciation to them, I once again ask the graduates to stand, but this time to share your gratitude with everyone in the audience who helped get you to this point today. Last time standing up, I promise. Throughout law school, you were supported by the world-class faculty of the Charleston School of Law. Our faculty are not only teachers, but mentors. They challenged you to become crisper writers, better thinkers, and more ethical professionals. I ask that members of the faculty, including our adjunct faculty, to stand and be recognized. I'd now like to recognize 4 people who are playing special roles today in this ceremony. The first is our lead student marshal and our brand new Student Bar Association president, Shane Hirsch. The second is our professor of the year, someone who speaks very softly. He taught many of you civil procedure. In the process, yes, you learned the many rules of jurisdiction and procedure, Erie doctrine, and so forth. But more than that, he helped you to become better thinkers and to articulate legal concepts with precision. Our tradition is that the professor of the year, who is voted upon by students, reads the names of the graduates. Congratulations to Professor William Jansen, our professor of the year. The faculty includes today's faculty marshal, an honor bestowed upon a faculty member who excels in the 3 pillars of teaching, scholarship, and service. This professor does so through her teaching of torts, her scholarship in children in the law and legal research, and her many acts of service to the school and community. This year's faculty marshal is affectionately known by her initials, LSB, Professor Lisa Smith Butler. And finally, our law school is committed to student success. It is our most important goal. The role of Grand Marshal is bestowed on an employee, faculty, administrator, or staff who exemplifies this commitment. This year's Grand Marshal works quietly, but diligently, often very late into the night, to make sure our curriculum prepares students for an ever-changing profession. More than that, she is willing, at the drop of a hat, to stop what she is doing to help students or faculty in need. This year's Grand Marshal is Professor Margaret Lawton, our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. I'd like to ask Mr. Hirsch, Professor Jansen, and Smith Butler, and Dean Lawton to stand and be recognized together. And now, as you go out into the profession, remember this: you remain members of the Charleston School of Law community. This means we have your backs as you study for the bar exam, if you're looking for a job, if you decide to change jobs or become a judge or run for office, as I hope many of you will do. We're here for you, and I encourage you to get involved with alumni events and give back by mentoring the next generation of law students. And now I am happy to turn the podium over to my friend and the president of the law school, Ed Bell.
Before I get started, there's an axiom in the law that says that the student, the graduate, who has the loudest reception from their family has the best chance of passing the bar. All I ask is you keep your demonstrations down to 15 minutes, no longer. We'll get out of here by midnight. So let me welcome everybody here today. Thank you for attending, and thank you for honoring us with your presence. I'd like to recognize, before I get started in my talk to the graduates, which I look forward to every graduation, a couple of people that are out here. There are two people here today, Ed Westbrook and Bob Carr, who Judge Carr is a retired federal magistrate. Ed Westbrook may be one of the most famous trial lawyers in this country. They were both founders, two of the 5 founders of this law school. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. Let's give them a round of applause. And since Mother's Day is tomorrow, I better acknowledge my wife and my son and my daughter. My daughter's 12, and my son is a freshman at the College of Charleston. My wife, Dawn, is up here as well. Thank you. Today marks the culmination of your legal education, and it was with no little effort and perseverance from you and your family and friends who are here today. I know you're sitting there and most of you are asking, what is next? My life as I know it is now over. You're wondering, how will my life be different tomorrow? When I wake up, for example, what will be my perspective? Will I think differently? Am I really smarter? Some will even ask, like I did I really do this? How would they let me graduate? Am I able to be what is expected of me? The age-old question that haunts everyone when they begin a new life is, what is next? Can I handle the next stage of my life? The answer is simple. Yes, you can, and you've proven that by being here today, graduating from the Charleston School of Law. Now you will never have less obligations. Life will get more complicated, so now is a good time to consider a few of life's lessons. While there are many, I will only mention a few to get you started, so listen carefully. Great work only comes from those who do work that they love. And that's such an important lesson that I've learned. Let me say it again. Great work only comes from those who do work that they love. Don't mess up in this area. There is something about passion that drives excellence. Your inner self will help guide you to make sure your focus is on helping others. And if that is your focus, the other things in life will fall in place. Always keep your integrity. I know you hear that a lot. But in today's world, it's extremely important. Integrity is one of the fundamental values that define ourselves. It is the hallmark of a person who demonstrates sound moral and ethical principles. Integrity is the foundation upon which we build trust and effective relationships. If I could speak to only one value by which we should live, it would be this: integrity is forever. Integrity means doing the right thing at all times and in all circumstances, whether or not anyone is watching. Courage is an important part of integrity, since sometimes it takes courage to do the right things. Your honor, your integrity is that important. Integrity in life keeps the soul righteous and the moral compass calibrated. Many of you are asking, how can I do all of this? I have been trained in legal theory, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. May I suggest a pathway for you to take? Ask a fundamental question that goes to the heart of the beginning of this self-analysis you're going through. Ask yourself, who am I? Who am I really? This question is one that you should study and take some time to explore. Figuring out the answer may take some time, because the answer to the question, if you get it right, will guide you forward and take care of your path. I've spoken on this before and believe so much in this concept that I'm compelled to review this again with you. It is a particularly unique and perplexing question that you should ask yourself and dwell on for some time. I wish I could answer it for you, make it easier on you, but it is not the kind of question that lends itself to simple answers. The answer will not come easily, and the answer today is probably much different than it would have been had you asked it when you started law school. Who am I is an inspirational question that should bring forth emotion and some internal struggle, and yes, some honesty. Unless we focus on the central question of who we are, then the answer will elude us. Some would suggest that answer to this question may be the same answer to the question, how do I want to be remembered? I don't necessarily think the two are the same, but the analytical process to answer these deep questions is the same. This question of who am I may need some time to answer, but it is the first and foremost question that should evoke curious brain cells to assist in that answer. But answer it you must. Who am I? Who am I really? But as you ponder the answer, you will find that the question is one that lives with you always. Don't get behind. Don't mess up on this one either. Start working on it now. Let me suggest several things. Be open to a possible change in direction. This is a moment in time that will never be repeated. You may have plans for the immediate future, but you may wish to think about something entirely different. Maybe take a break, a gap year or two, or do something not planned. Maybe take a little time to do something that you never thought of doing before. Do some charity work. Take a mission trip. Work in the inner city and help those in need. Join the Peace Corps. Take care of your older grandparent. Work in a political campaign. As you wonder who you are, you will find that special person inside of you that has passion for helping your neighbor and those less fortunate. You will learn to pair that passion with kindness and a sincere desire to make life better for others. You may also have a chance to be a troublemaker. Nothing wrong with that. Go have some fun while doing something that you never dreamed of doing. And when you're finished, start your life with your law degree with the purpose of making this world a better place. You will never have that chance again. This is a very unique time in your life. Are you equipped to resolve the most pressing issues? Were you trained to take on these responsibilities? Of course you are. You're graduating from the Charleston School of Law. But let me ask you this question. Didn't you start your training in kindergarten? Yes, I said kindergarten. In fact, a book was written about this, All I Need to Know, I Learned in Kindergarten by Robert Fulghum. The author opined that wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but in the sand pile at Sunday school and kindergarten. You know, we learned a lot in kindergarten. We learned to share everything. We learned to play fair. We learned don't hit people. We learned to put things back where you found them. Learn to clean up your own mess. Learn to don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Take a nap every afternoon. Hold hands, stick together, and watch for traffic. The golden rule. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule in love and basic sanitation, ecology and politics and equality and sane living. You now have it all from kindergarten to law school. You're well trained. You're smart. You made it. And it wasn't a small mountain that you climbed either. I will keep up with you as you go forward and ask you from time to time how you're doing. I'll also be interested in how you're making a difference. Are you a beacon of hope to those who need someone to help them have hope? Did you defend the poor just as you defended the rich? Did you speak for those who have no voice? Have you kept your integrity? Did you raise your hand when you're needed? And most important, did you stand up when given the chance? When someone asked for help, did you stand up? So all I really ask of you guys is don't make the world any worse off than it is. Congratulations.
Thank you, President Bell. I am now pleased to call upon Calvin Griffin, the president of the Student Bar Association for the class of 2023, for his remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Family, friends, thank you so much for joining us for this awesome ceremony. Without all of you, we would not be here today. Cheers to you. Charleston School of Law, class of 2023. I can't believe we did it. Yes, I can. You are some of the most brilliant and talented people that I know. I've been nervous about giving this speech and excited since this time last year. How can I do it justice? How can I sum up in a few short minutes what this school means to me, what the school means to us? After everything that's happened in the last 3 years and 2.5 for my spring starts, it's impossible. While giving this speech, I sought out some sage advice from Dean Abrams, and I'm very excited to hear your speech later on. He told me to, as a representative of this class, to talk about things that we are thankful for and share things that we would want to share. So this is my attempt to do so. Got 4 F's. Family. We could not have done it without you. Your love and support has been unconditional and unwavering. You raised us, giving us the tools we needed to make it to this point. We love you and we're deeply grateful for you. I would be remiss not to mention my family. Mom, you taught me how to read, write, and do math. You taught me how to synthesize and analyze. Dad, you taught me how to be a man. You taught me about integrity and courage. And you told me that hard things aren't bad. Meme, you let me stay with you for the last 3 years. Becca, Carrie, Kate, you gave me the people that I want to make proud of. I want to impress you. Faculty is my second F. Before day one, while we were looking at attending Charleston School of Law, we heard about our amazing faculty. This is so true. We are truly blessed to have amazing members. There's no doubt in my mind that each one of us students have had a faculty member, or 2, or 3, or 4, that have spent hours on end teaching us, mentoring us, instilling courage, all of which gave us the confidence and assurance that we could make it to this point today. We are so thankful and blessed to have you. And again, I would be remiss not to mention the faculty at the school that has done that for me. Professor Stedman and R.J. Quillinan, thank you so much. You instilled courage in me. Third F, friends. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that we could not have made it to this point without each other. The final study sessions, the class assignments that we were allowed to work together with, the coffee breaks, hanging out on the weekends to decompress, we have made true friendships. I'm so glad to have met each one of you. Fourth F, future. This day is about the future. Very soon, We will all be in the workplace together. One day, many of us will be attorneys. We just have one more obstacle to overcome. I'm not going to say the B word just yet, but you all know what I'm talking about. Focus. We are world changers. In the future, being endowed with this diploma, people will look to us for leadership, advice, courage, and you name it. The world is round. All facets of life are interconnected. The way we go about our business, the way we treat people, the decisions we make in life are all connected. I'm saying this because it's vitally important to consider this fact as we think about the future, make those decisions, and embark on this new chapter in our life. We're in this together. The world is round. Class of 2023, I have an extraordinary amount of faith and confidence that we will be the leaders and world changers that we are called to be. It's time. Let's get it. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to present 2 awards that recognize the outstanding contributions of our students. The William Bennett Regan Award is named in honor of Bill Regan, an outstanding public servant who for many years served the city of Charleston as its chief legal counsel. Selection for this award is based on commitment to public service and leadership. This year's recipient is Caitlin Turner. Please stand and be recognized. The Arthur Howe Trial Advocacy Award is funded by the South Carolina chapter of the American College of Trial Lawyers and is named in honor of one of the premier trial lawyers in South Carolina, Arthur Howe. The award is presented annually to the graduating student who best exemplifies excellence in trial advocacy. This year's recipient is Josette Brooksbank. The first law school in South Carolina was formed right here in Charleston in 1825. Known as the Forensic Club, it was chartered by the General Assembly in December of that year. Shortly thereafter, U. Swinton Legree delivered the first in what was called a course of law lectures. The Forensic Club then became dormant until it was revived in 2003 when the original charter was assigned to the brand new Charleston School of Law. Today, to quote Professor Abrams, the Charleston School of Law has the unique distinction of being both the oldest and the youngest law school in South Carolina. Today, we recognize 5 of our graduates as new members of the Charleston School of Law Forensic Club. Their selection is based on 3 criteria: demonstrated leadership, professionalism, and academic commitment. Each of the individuals selected has abundantly demonstrated and met these requirements. This year's inductees are Christine Bosco, Dina Bird Byro, Alexandria Jones, the previously mentioned Addison Oz Osborne, and finally, Shantanae Riley. Please stand and be recognized. And now to introduce our commencement speaker, I'd like to welcome back to the podium President Bell.
It's my pleasure to introduce to you our commencement speaker. I could talk to you about his background and about his accomplishments and what he's done. I wanted to do it on a little bit different note, on a little personal note. Andy Abrams, Dean Abrams, Professor Abrams, but we all know him as Andy, has a very nice rendition of him in the brochure, and I encourage you to read it. But from my knowledge of Andy, let me tell you what I know. Andy was inducted as dean in 2008, if I recall. And to the credit of the then Board of Trustees, they chose the right one. They really did. So when I became president of the school in 2015, you've got to think about it. I'm a practicing lawyer, and I got called to step in as president of this fine school. And I'm not sure why I got chosen, but I can tell you this, I didn't know what I was doing. And when you get inducted or become president of a school, the ABA has to approve you. And there was such a question of whether I could do this job. I had to have 3 separate hearings in Chicago before the ABA. Now, these were pretty scary. One of the questioners that year was the Chief Justice of the Arizona Supreme Court, who had his list of questions, things like, do you know what you're doing? What are you going to do if such and such happens, and things like that. Well, Andy Abrams was the dean when I became president, and literally took somebody that had no idea what he was doing and helped shape who I am today. You know, you get into a new job and you think, you know, I've got all these ideas. Well, Andy was the one that would tamp down these bad ideas. And Andy would say, Ed, let's think about that. And let's think about it another way. But literally, out of the first 100 ideas, I don't think any of them actually became any kind of policy. Andy's a very unique person. He understands how people are and how they work. He understands interrelationships. He instills trust with people. And he led this school to where it is today. When Dean Cunningham took over 3 years ago, he took over with a ship that was sailing straight in a good direction. So the one thing that I would really appreciate this class doing is, y'all know Andy because in COVID, I'm not sure everyone knows this, but Andy is a famous baker. And he would bake cookies or brownies, and he would leave them on his front porch. And people would ride by his front porch and get their share of brownies and either leave a note or a thank you note or something. But Andy did this for several years. He won't give me the recipe. I can't seem to get it. So if you could encourage him to maybe be gratuitous about that, I'd appreciate it. We're sorry to see Andy retire from this school. It's going to be a huge loss to us. But what he has done for this school is immeasurable. Introduce Andy.
Hard to live up to that. Thank you, Ed, for those incredible words, and to Ed, Larry, and the board, both current, and to my friend Ed Westbrook, who was on the board, who hired me, for this tremendous honor. In my first draft of this speech, I had actually written that this was the greatest honor of my life. But my wife, Karen, pointed out that marrying her was clearly the greatest honor of my life. You know, in the interest of marital harmony, and we've been married 47 years now, and I'd like to make 48, I made the correction. I then circulated the revised draft to our 2 children, who immediately weighed in and noted that being their father obviously had to be at least the second greatest honor of my life. When our family dog offered his opinion, I quit circulating the draft. So no matter the ranking, I am truly humbled by the tremendous honor you bestow upon me to deliver the commencement address to the most important people at this law school, the graduating class of 2023. Before I begin, I'd like to take off this pillow, though, if you don't mind, and replace it with something more comfortable. There it is. Now you'll recognize me. If I got to stand up here, I might as well feel like myself again. I do want to reiterate what Dean Cunningham has said, though. You are such a special class, and so take my congratulations and carry that with you always. After I was invited to be your commencement speaker, I employed some of the research skills that many of you used on those upper-level writing papers you wrote for me. I Googled it. And when I Googled commencement speeches, I discovered that commencement speakers are expected to provide what the speakers call pearls of wisdom, and what graduates call one more damn thing I have to listen to before they finally give me my diploma. So I actually do feel your pain. Shortly after I began teaching, I gave a quiz, and one of the questions I asked was, who was Socrates? And the best answer I got was, Socrates was a Greek. He talked a lot. They killed him. I promise I will try to keep the fate of Socrates firmly in mind as I offer you the requisite pearls of wisdom. You know, standing here this afternoon, it strikes me how much you students and I actually have in common. For you, after 3 years of hard work and occasional play, you have reached your first law school graduation. And for me, after 37 years of hard play and occasional work, I have reached my final law school graduation. However, for both of us, we have reached a commencement. Not the end, but as the word commencement denotes, the beginning. The commencement of the next leg of our life's journey. So I thought before we all set off on the next segment of our grand adventure, with you joining the ranks of the employed and me joining the ranks of the unemployed, it was worth identifying a few rules of the road we might want to follow to make our trip more meaningful, more productive, and hopefully more enjoyable. So here for your consideration are what I have entitled 5 Rules of the Road. Remember what our driving instructors taught us? And I had the fortune or misfortune of being taught by my father. That first rule of driving: keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. Probably like many of you, when I first started driving, I was fixated on the rearview mirror. And I can still hear my father's voice bellowing, quit worrying so much about what's behind you and pay attention to what's right in front of you. You can't do anything about what's back there now anyway, he'd yell. There was an underlying truth to his less than genteel instructions. Being unduly focused on where we've been, whether good or bad, can keep us from fully appreciating where we are. So go ahead and glance in the rearview mirror occasionally, but when you do, forgive the failures you see, learn from them, and then move on. Likewise, enjoy the successes you see. Be grateful for them, and then, move on. And when you do, try not to be in too big a hurry. I remember once my wife and I took the bullet train from Paris to Marseille, And leaving Paris, we blew through the countryside at 199 miles per hour and arrived in Marseille in record time. Upon our arrival, our host asked us how we'd enjoyed the beautiful French scenery. All we could do was shrug and admit that we were going so fast we never actually saw it. We were in such a hurry to get to our destination that we'd completely missed the joy of the trip itself. The second rule of the road is, don't ruin your eyesight trying to see beyond the horizon. Just as we don't want to spend all of our time dwelling on what's behind us, neither do we want to spend an inordinate amount of time and energy trying to peer too far up the road. Looking for absolute clarity about what lies far ahead is usually a wasted effort anyway, and mainly distracts us from what should demand our immediate attention. What's in front of us right now we need to deal with. And as the philosopher Joseph Campbell has warned, if the path ahead looks abundantly clear, you're probably on somebody else's path. So take comfort in the fact that it's not only okay, but likely inevitable and even preferable that you aren't certain at this point what your ultimate destination will be. It's okay. Over the course of your life, that destination is going to change many times for many reasons, some within your control and some completely out of your control. And to the extent you can see what lies ahead, try to keep it in perspective. I recall driving with my son, Alex, to his 9-year-old state baseball championship game. He was scheduled to pitch, and I was a nervous wreck, worrying about how he'd performed. And of course, I also assumed that he had to be at least as worried as I was. So, trying to be a good dad and reassure him, I turned to him and I said, "So, Alex, are you nervous?" He looked at me like I was absolutely nuts. He said, "Dad, I'm pitching against the Greenville Gators, not the New York Yankees." He had a way better perspective on the challenges that lay ahead than I did. He had his hands on the wheel, his eyes on the road, and the situation in perspective, even if I didn't. Look, a lot of the challenges that you're going to face in the days ahead are going to be against the Greenville Gators, not the New York Yankees. The key, of course, is being able to tell the difference between the two. The third rule of the road is, don't be afraid of the recalculating feature on your navigation app. As with any long trip, be prepared to have that app regularly announce that it is recalculating, because deviating from the established route is not only unavoidable, but on your journey you will also discover it's often beneficial as well. As a golfer friend of mine once told me, life, like golf, is full of divots and pivots. Divots and pivots. Think of how many recalculating messages you've already received. Sometimes due to conscious decisions you've made to change course, to pivot. And sometimes you've had to alter that course because of major curves, bumps, or detours, divots in the road that you never saw coming. I know this from personal experience. When I graduated from law school, my path was clear. My plan was set. I would go back to my hometown. I would raise a family with my wonderful wife, Karen. I would practice law with my father in the law firm he had founded, a place that I had worked every summer and every holiday since I was in high school. As planned, I joined his law firm immediately after graduation. But just 10 months later, my father died unexpectedly of a massive heart attack. And in that moment, my carefully constructed plan disintegrated. You talk about a divot. Afterwards, it became increasingly clear to me that the career I had was no longer the career I wanted. But fortified by the unwavering love and support of friends, family, many of whom are here today, and my wife, who is always here, we changed course. We pivoted. We headed in a new direction, an advanced degree at the University of Virginia, followed by a 20-year career at the College of Charleston. That first pivot, born of tragedy, made it possible for me to do something which I knew in my heart I would truly love: teaching. And then in 2005, a funny thing happened. I was invited to leave the security of the College of Charleston for the excitement of being a part of something incredibly unique, the establishment of a new law school. A new law school in Charleston, the Charleston School of Law. And again, we pivoted. That first pivot from the practice of law born of tragedy put us on a different path. And it let us then make a second pivot born of opportunity, which has resulted in the most gratifying career, the most gratifying experience, the most gratifying life I ever could have hoped for. So when your navigation app starts to recalculate, don't fight it. Embrace it. Follow your heart, because you never know what incredible possibilities may await you just beyond that horizon. The fourth rule of the road is, don't try to take the trip alone. But make sure you choose your passengers wisely. See, Mom, I learned that lesson. Despite society's emphasis on the merits of individual effort, fundamentally, we still are all social creatures who require the company of others. When our daughter was 2 years old, whenever my wife and I would try to feed her, I'm sorry she's not here, I could really embarrass her, feed her, clothe her, provide any basic task, she would defiantly announce, "No, I do it myself." To this day, that's a running joke in our family. Whenever anyone stubbornly insists upon going it alone, when the willing help of others is readily available, I do it myself. But the reality is obviously quite different, because we can never do it all by ourselves. There will always be others with us on our journey, and this is not a weakness, but instead it's a strength, because sharing the ride with others makes our journey not only easier, but vastly richer and more rewarding, at least so long as we've selected those right people to accompany us. And if we're very careful in choosing these passengers, we will find fellow travelers who will bring joy to our journey and the best out in us. My wife, Karen, has been with me every step of the way for the past 50 years, and I would readily admit, and I'm also confident that she would readily agree, that she has made the ride way more fun, and in the process also made me a much better driver and a much better person. So do yourself a favor. Look for someone like that to share your ride with, and you're going to have a hell of a trip. And the fifth and final rule of the road is this: make the journey count. In his book, When All You've Ever Wanted Isn't Enough, The author Harold Kushner observed that when he counseled people as they neared the end of their life's journey, what they consistently were concerned with was whether their life had mattered to anyone. Now, not how much they'd earned or what they had achieved, but instead, their primary question and concern was, did my life matter? Did my presence on this earth have an impact on anyone or anything? And the regrets these people expressed weren't about what they didn't acquire, accolades they didn't receive, but instead were about the opportunities they had squandered to make an impact with their lives. And the regrets they felt about the relationships with their family and friends that they had allowed to deteriorate or even slip away entirely. Perhaps Campbell put it best when he wrote, "Regrets are simply illuminations come too late." Regrets are simply illuminations come too late. And that was Kushner's underlying point. These illuminations need not come too late. There is no inherent reason for there to be any regrets at the end of our journey, because there's nothing to prevent us from learning those lessons, from experiencing those illuminations now when we can actually do something about it. Professionally, you graduates have already taken a giant first step. You've selected a career that by its very nature gives you the opportunity beginning now to use your legal training, your skills, your passion to make a profound difference in the lives of others. And personally, it remains up to all of us to nurture and to treasure the relationships that already exist and to embrace those that are yet to come, to make our journey count, to say that hearty yes to the adventure that awaits us. So there you have them. 5 rules of the road. Focus on the present. Keep the future in perspective. Be prepared to pivot along the way. Surround yourself with people you love and trust, and make your journey count. And now, with the ghost of Socrates peering down from the rafters, let me conclude not with a rule, but rather with a word of advice, a wish, and a request. My advice is to enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. You've earned it. Exciting times lie ahead for each of you. My wish for you is that you derive as much joy from your grand adventure as I have from mine. And my request is that you remember this school. Remember these people. Remember this moment. And know that above all else, as you leave us today, you do so with our highest hopes, our greatest respect, and our deepest, deepest affection. Thank you for allowing me, for allowing us to be a part of your life's journey. Good luck and Godspeed to each of you. Thank you.
And now for a little surprise, one that is not in the program, and that has been under wraps for quite some time. An honorary degree is the highest award or recognition that an institution can bestow. For law schools, it is reserved for those who make an indelible mark on the legal profession. Today, with the approval of President Bell, I am pleased to present an honorary degree to our commencement speaker, Andy Abrams. I'd like to call upon Professor Margaret Lawton, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, to read the citation, and President Bell and Professor Abrams to come forward for the degree presentation.
For exemplifying the highest ideals of human endeavor through his lifelong devotion to the law and higher education, and for his extraordinary service as dean, and I promise I practiced this early, and for his mentorship of countless students, the Charleston School of Law now presents Andrew L. Abrams the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining. In witness thereof, this diploma duly signed has been issued, and the seal of the Charleston School of Law affixed on this 13th day of May, 2023, signed J. Edward Bell III, President, and Larry Cunningham, Provost and Dean.
At this time, I call upon Dean Lawton to return to present the other degree candidates.
Will the candidates for degrees please rise? Dean Cunningham, I have the privilege on behalf of the faculty of the Charleston School of Law to present the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor, who, upon review, will be recommended for the conferral of their degrees in due course.
Thank you, Dean Lawton. Having received the testimony of the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs that you, the candidates, will have satisfactorily complied with all of the requirements demanded by our academic regulations, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Directors, the South Carolina Commission on Higher Education, the American Bar Association, and on the recommendation of the Associate Dean, I will, upon review of this semester's grades, confer upon each of you the degree of Juris Doctor, together with all of the rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities thereto. Congratulations, graduates. And now the moment you have all worked so long and so hard for, the presentation of the graduates for individual recognition. And for family and friends, remember the advice about the bar exam and applause, etc. Graduates, as your name is called, please advance to the podium to be hooded by Dean Lawton and to take two pictures. One as you're hooded and another with me on the end of the stage. Would members of the first row of the graduating class please come forward to be recognized?
Lainey Francis Anderson. Michaela Lynn Andrews. Michael Paul Anthony. Otis Franklin Askin III. Travis Freeman Ayers. Catherine Elise Bannock, summa cum laude. Caroline Hunter Barker, summa cum laude. Madison Brianna Barrett. Amanda Catherine Belfiore. Eugene Lampson Bigelow III. Christine Ann Bosco, summa cum laude. Jesse Berard Borlin. Kennedy Nicole Britt, summa cum laude. Josette Elizabeth Brooksbank, summa cum laude. Marissa Gail Bryan, magna cum laude. Mackenzie Ray Burks. Aubrey Isabella Buto. Dina Leigh Byrne Bryan, magna cum laude. Blake Sandifer Campbell, Jr. David Connor Campbell. John Patrick Carr, magna cum laude. Elaine Ann Casera. Charles Guy Castles IV. Sydney Catherine Catlett, magna cum laude. Scott Wayne Childress, magna cum laude. Christopher Ress Clemens. George Edward Coleman IV. Destiny Lynn Combs. Dylan Jacob Cooper. Parker Stephen Craig. Jenna K. DePoy. Christopher O'Neill Dorr. Ann Benton Downs, cum laude. David Wilson Dunleavy. Kennedy Ray Eaton, magna cum laude. Madeline Hall Fletcher. Natalia Flores. Shayla Joan Flores. August Brooke Fout, magna cum laude. James Holden Friel. Mitchell Ellis Friesen. Christopher James Fulmer, magna cum laude. Brian Andrew Gelb. Luke Michael Jensleck. Alexis Nicole Gibson. David Thomas Going. Rebecca K. Goley. Angelica Marie Gonzalez. Luisa Fernanda Gonzalez. Natalie Nicole Greavy. Joshua Calvin Griffin. Nicole Bella Habina. Alexander James Hall. Andrew Sanders Hall. Casey Fisher Hall. Drayton Marshall Hammes. John Ernest Hart. Jordan Don Hebner. Brandy Elaine Helton. Catherine Patton Hemphill, cum laude. Kyle James Hillis. Lori Larson Horst. Corey Allen Hughes. Monica Lee Hughes. Matthew Palmer Husnetter. Gabriel Vernon Paul Ingram, cum laude. Matthew Jensen Innes. Georgia Marie Ionesco. Zinnia Cyrus Irani. Nina Ashley Yovankovich. Alexandria Shea Jones. Thomas John Keegan II. Kaylee Christine Kemp. Salvatore Laval. Caroline Elizabeth Land. Sunny Johanna Lawson, magna cum laude. Jennifer Elizabeth LeFew, magna cum laude. Marie Margaret Lurch. Darinen Kelly Lilly. Mackenzie Joe Lins, magna cum laude. Alexis Dawn Loden. Ezekiel Bruce Lawless. Ian Winter Lundell. Morgan Elizabeth McDevitt. Samantha Joanne McDonough. Joseph Dante Mead. Morgan Nicole Morell. Stephen Christopher Mosley. Brian Thomas Murdahl. Morgan Meadows Murphy. Ryan Henry Murrah. Aaliyah Brooke Murray. Dominic Michael Nation. Jordan Fernando O'Bally. Patrick Ryan O'Hara, magna cum laude. Addison Leroy Osborne III. Hannah Joe Pardini. Andrew John Parker. Austin Albert Parker, cum laude. Arena Maria Pastoros. Cameron Lee Perry. Samuel John Person, summa cum laude. Zachary Alexander Porter, cum laude. Max Richard William Redfoot. Chantanay Carnashea Riley. Dylan Franklin Rogers. Christine Michelle Romero. Gabriela Sala. Brittany Rebecca Shelper. Brendan Patrick Shust. Dustin Philip Singer, cum laude. Emily Danielle Sion. James Bonner Snyder. Connor Glenn Stephen. Grant Douglas Sutton. Lindsay Page Taylor. Ellie Aline Thomas, magna cum laude. Spencer Chase Thomas. Alexandra Evelyn Toney. Michael Constantine Subernary. Catherine Mackenzie Torrigas. Caitlin Burrell Turner, cum laude. Kristen Tyler Wall. The Ross Frederick Ward. Caitlin Marie Watson. Hannah Grace Weeks, cum laude. Allison Brooke Way. Courtney Bryant White. Morgan Ansley Willard. Sydney Nicole Willingham. Danielle Cheyenne Wilson. Allison Faith Wood. Austin Tanner Wright. Trey Walker Wright. Caitlin Joe Yost.
How about a hand for our Professor of the Year and announcer, all those names? And how about a final rousing round of applause for our graduates? I'd now like to call upon someone who was in your shoes a few years ago, Ryan Andrews, Vice President of the Alumni Association, to welcome you, our newest graduates, to the ranks of the alumni.
Thank you, Dean Cunningham, Judge Carr, and the Westbrook family. Dean Abrams, congratulations on your retirement. And honored graduates and family and friends, I'm honored to be included on this very special day. It's my privilege to welcome the graduates as the newest members of the Charleston School of Alumni. I know everyone is ready to celebrate this special day, and I'm about the last speaker, so I'm going to keep my remarks brief so we can get out of here. Now, when I asked to speak today, it made me look back and realize that I was sitting where you were in this very room 10 years ago at my graduation ceremony, way back in 2013. In realizing that, I thought it may be appropriate in using my time today to briefly discuss some things I've heard, learned, and seen in the decade since I became a member of the alumni. Some of the things I've heard over the past decade. Well, one thing you're going to hear, bad lawyer jokes. Yes, you'll hear a lot. Like the one, do you know how attorneys sleep at night? Well, they lie on one side, then lie on the other. But we won't get into too many of those lawyer jokes. This isn't the time and place, and you'll hear them forever. But while lawyers are the butts of jokes like that, do not let it deter you or dissuade you from knowing that this new profession that you're entering into is truly a noble and a necessary one. In the coming years, you will have the opportunities to represent numerous clients ranging from all walks of life and involving many different matters. In the future, you'll be advocating for clients going through the most difficult and unimaginable times, such as clients experiencing the death or a horrific injury of a close relative and loved one. But you'll also have the opportunities to help clients through more joyous occasions, whether it is assisting a young couple with the close of their first home purchase or representing a family with an adoption of a child in need. Indeed, you are entering a noble and worthwhile profession. In the past decade, I've heard from many of our alumni who've made an impact on their clients' lives, and a lot of it is attributed to the tools and resources that the Charleston School of Law has provided. Now, for some of the things I've learned over the past decade as alumni. I've learned that family, friends, Uber drivers, bartenders, friends of friends, second cousins once removed, strangers you randomly meet on the streets, and pretty much anyone you can imagine will undoubtedly bombard you with random and obscure legal questions and ask for free advice when they learn that you're an attorney. So be prepared for that if you're not already getting bombarded while you've been in law school. But I've also learned that, and I think it's especially important for you new attorneys to realize, is that no matter what you think, you do not know it all and you won't always be right. It's okay. It happens. As you've seen through law school, the law is ever changing. And as you'll see in the future, the law can be interpreted consistently and consistent. But don't let that frustrate you. I've learned over the past decade that many lawyers, especially our esteemed alumni and faculty, are more than willing to offer me time and advice when I cross a legal hurdle or obstacle. I've learned that this has been especially helpful to me in my career, and there are faculty and alumni, even here in this room today, that I will still seek advice on matters when I'm stumped. I hope you'll utilize this network and recognize that as graduates of the Charleston School of Law, the alumni and faculty are here to help. I also hope you will help the students and future alumni in the coming years. And now for some of the things I've seen over the past decade. I've seen our established alumni accomplish many successes over their careers. I've seen our alumni work in private practice or as in-house counsels at firms and companies of all sizes. I've seen our alumni become professors, judges, and legislators, including the Student Bar Association president when I was a 1L here, being recently reelected to the United States House of Representatives. I've also seen our alumni become attorneys for different local, state, and federal agencies. I've seen our alumni continue to serve the greater good and continue to help the helpless, and some by serving as public defenders, with one of our esteemed alumnus recently being selected to serve as the Chief Public Defender for this judicial circuit. I've seen our alumni on TV, whether it be arguing at a televised court hearing, giving an interview to the press, or even on some charming reality television show. As alumni, you are all now part of this club. You are all part of this institution, and you have the tools and the abilities to succeed. In closing, I want to encourage you to stay connected with your classmates, this school, and the alumni. Stay connected to share your successes I have no doubt you'll attain. Stay connected to seek any advice you may need or question you may have as you embark on your new career paths. Stay connected to help out the alumni that will join you in the future. Congratulations on being new Charleston School of Law alumni. Good luck to each of you, and may God continue to bless you.
As the graduates and faculty and staff know, I believe it's very, very important at events to thank the people who very often behind the scenes make an event possible. First, I'd like to recognize and thank members of the Charleston Brass and our interpreter, Amanda Hanley, and representatives from AV Connections and Grad Images, the photographer. Thank you to Reverend Darwin, Shane Hirsch, Ryan Andrews, Professor Smith Butler, Professor Jansen, and Dean Lawton for your participation. And finally, thank you to all the CSOL staff and administration and student marshals, Tony Galtney, Anna Taylor Green, Graham Horseman, Aspasia Pagiotis, Jessica Price, and Caitlin Simmons, who put countless hours of hard work into making today's event such a joyous success. In addition, thank you especially to Kristen Ash, Marissa Banky, Michael Banks, Jacqueline Bell, Tally Craven, J.C. Crowley, Linda Ederari, Andrew Gregware, Jessica Cancer, Christy Laurenti, Grady Mason, Sharon Peterson, Lisa Reams, Sandra Restrepo, Diane Rexroad, Nick Sanders, Vic Silvis, Victoria Stegall, John Struble, Monica Toomer, and Taylor Withers. It really does take a law school to put on a commencement, so thank you. I invite each of you to join us following today's ceremony for a reception in honor of our graduates. The reception will be held on the parade ground immediately following the ceremony. Graduates, as is the tradition, there will be a group picture taken of the graduating class. It'll be taken on the bleachers right there on the parade ground. After the group photo, you can then join your family and friends for the reception. Marshals will be available for anyone requiring assistance. Now, before we get the party started, I would like to ask you to please stand for the singing of America the Beautiful, led by our very own Ariana Patsaros, class of 2023, and then please remain standing for the recessional of the platform party, the faculty, and the graduates.
For spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties across the floating plain. God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrims beat, whose stern impassioned stress a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. Control thy liberty.